Assalamu alaikum friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're a subscriber, you'll know recently, mashallah, alhamdulillah, myself, my husband and my kids completed our umrah. We travelled in February of this year, 2024. Answer some of the questions that I received. I wanted to make an overall video and some tips in terms of travelling with kids, so just to help you, and if that advice helps you at all. So basically we flew from Edinburgh on Qatar Airlines. If you've never travelled before, you know it's a great experience. They give you really nice food, really nice service. You have a luggage allowance. And when we booked for our kids' meals, and then we also got these little food packs which were really handy. We put into our suitcase, our hand luggage, and it was a wee snack if they needed it en route, because kids are always constantly hungry, and it was good to have this kind of additional kind of service provided. It was a great flight, lovely and smooth, but what I would recommend is never have the 1 hour transit time between. We actually went to Doha and then it was Doha to Jeddah with a 1 hour, and we barely made our flight. We ran like maniacs, and as soon as we went through, they closed the gate because people were doing their niyat and putting on their ihram in the airport. So I would say keep a longer time. This is Jeddah Airport. It's mashallah beautiful. This aquarium was magnificent, but the problem we had was lost luggage. Our luggage never made it on the transit flight, and we waited 2 hours. Nobody communicated anything to us, so we were really lost. And thankfully our driver did wait 2 hours. We had to pay him extra. We had this pre-booked transfer, so they took us, it was a good hour, maybe more, to get into the Marwa Rayhaan hotel. It's a 5-star hotel opposite Haram, and it was absolutely perfect. You know, it was a really nice, comfortable room, and there was beds for the kids, and then beds for me and Vakar. We weren't able to get a Haram view, which I really wanted, but still very, very happy. It was comfortable, it was nice, it was very close to Haram. The problem with this hotel was, even though it was opposite, there was 3 separate lifts and the kind of different buildings we had to go through, the malls, in order to get to our hotel. And with a volume of people coming in and out, it can be really, really hard and really overwhelming, so just be mindful of that. This was our rooms. We had a safe and scales and an iron and a fridge. It was ideal, and this actual hotel had like a little desk for me to do some editing, and it had British plugs. So not all hotels have them, so just be mindful to bring the correct adapters. And this one next to my bed had the USB and USB-C ports, which was really handy when you're trying to charge multiple devices. And this speaker you can set it to switch it off, or you can turn it on, so every azan you can hear it, and you can hear the full namaz. So if there's times you can't get to the masjid due to fatigue or due to the kids, this is really, really handy to still be able to continue to read your namaz and, you know, participate. This was times maybe Vakar would go and Ibrahim would go, and I would maybe stay with her if she was too tired, because at this point we didn't have a buggy, we didn't have fresh clothes, so we did have to wait full 48 hours. Within our package we had the breakfast option. Other meals we just purchased them. This was what the breakfast looked like, to give you an idea of the options. So it was kind of Arabic options. There was egg, there was kind of unusual things. This is me just grabbing some potatoes. I was trying to grab things that looked familiar. It was really difficult to find things for the kids. So I think if you are going to travel, maybe bring something for your kids. I do usually bring cereal and things for my kids so that they have that option. And this time we just thought we'll find something, you know. We just had to try and make do, and my daughter wasn't really eating that great, so try and be mindful of that they aren't going to have a lot of options. They actually, overall, I find the Arabic people not very pleasant, and I think if you've travelled you'll know what I mean by that. They're not very helpful. You travel, just try and be as prepared as possible and have plenty of things that your kids will like, so that you can still focus on your ibadat. This was us coming out of a mall, which is opposite gate 79, entrance to Masjid Haram, and I wanted to give you an idea of, you know, how busy it can be and how overwhelming, and it can be really tiring, especially in the heat when you're walking back and forth. Even though the hotel is opposite Haram, when you're walking, weaving through people, it's busy at every single time, and there's never a time you could say that it's quiet. Even at Tahajjud time or even Fajr time, there's just swarms of people heading to the Masjid or about. Even if you try and get to the Masjid well before the Azan, you'll be able to get a spot. If you go right at Azan time, it's very unlikely to get somewhere to pray. Here I'm showing you a hyperlapse of from the kind of main food places outside the hotel and one of the kind of various entrances back to our hotel room. So this is one of the lifts. These ones often aren't working, so we have to go inside the mall to get into one of the many lifts to get to our hotel room. So these lifts are so busy, and sometimes it's really, really difficult to actually get into the lifts. There's sometimes just absolutely not even any space. So if you have a buggy or you're a wheelchair user, just be very, very, very mindful of the rush. This is us actually in our hotel reception, and this is the lift to get to our room. So we were on the 13th floor, I think it was, so we were room 1391. So in order to do your ziyarats, people go, they might get a tour bus, or what we did was we hired a taxi to take us to the main points, and any place we wanted to stop we could go out and stop. But you can see this was at the peak heat of the day, so it was very hot, and when you're travelling with kids, they just can't walk any great length or stand outside in the heat because the heat is extremely intense. So we managed to see various historical Islamic points, and you might recognise some of them in these videos. So it is a brilliant way to see historical points in our religion. But again, when you're travelling with kids, it's just not always easy. So another point I wanted to mention is when you get food, often there's nowhere to sit. Often you can go into the mall and you think you'll get somewhere. People are almost like fighting to get a seat. So sometimes we would just purchase food and then bring it back to the hotel room. It was the only kind of calm and easy way for us to eat. Vakar loved getting the little dastakhan and sitting on the floor. And that's a kind of traditional way in Saudi how they eat. They just get a plastic sheet and they tip the food onto the sheet. So this is sometimes the only way you can actually get to eat and actually sit down. Everyone wants to sit down and eat. It's not easy to kind of walk around and eat, and you want to eat your food hot. So that's something to be mindful of. This is a Maghreb Azan outside Masjid Al-Haram, and you can see how busy it is. It's mashallah beautiful, but it is very busy, very, very busy at any time. So these are the things you need to think about when you are travelling with kids. So you can see here we are doing Tawaaf at night, and it is still very busy, and it can be more than this during the day. So if you are travelling with kids, I bought this wrist lock for my daughter, so we had that on when we were doing Tawaaf with the kids, and these little wrist labels. So that just means if the child does get lost, if they've got contact details or your hotel name or something, it gives you some peace of mind. The Samsung tag is also really helpful to have it on your child in their bag, and then it means you can track them at any point. But it is a fear that your hand just slips and you let go, and in the rush, because people here are very aggressive. It's something that I've said. They are very rough, very aggressive. They will punch and kick and elbow you and your children. They don't care. But we try and be considerate when we have been going around doing our Tawaaf, and being considerate to kind of stick to the outer circumference. As the closer you get to the Kaaba is when people are extremely aggressive, so I wouldn't recommend going to the closest point with your kids. And that's exactly where you can lose your kids, so we did stick to the outer circumference most of the time. And we did manage to touch the Kaaba, but we just kept our kids away from that point. So if you have mobility issues or travelling with children, it can be very, very tiring. This is an option, is to hire these scooters. I'll list the price down below. So you can actually do the full umrah in these scooters and or just Tawaaf or Safa Marwa. We opted to just do the Safa Marwa in the scooters, and the kids, it's not really supposed to be fun, but the kids really enjoyed it. This was our view from our room. It was, mashallah, really nice, and even at night as the sun set, it was really beautiful. Mashallah, really liked it. And this is the mall. This is to give you an idea of how busy the malls constantly are. This was rare for us to actually get somewhere to sit because of how busy it is. There are loads of different eating options, and obviously it will be prices, so just be mindful of that. And ice cream places, and there's tea and coffee places. To do your shopping, the closer you are to Haram, the more expensive things are. We went on Ibrahim Khalil Road, which is quite a walk. It's on the back side of Masjid al-Haram, and we managed to get stuff for really good, reasonable prices. And the further you're away from it, the more you can access the kind of 3 riyal, 2 riyal, if you're lucky, 1 riyal shops. So that's the kind of starting prices, and then obviously the more things that you want, or the high value, they cost more. We bought these personalised janamas. I got some for my mum and dad, and Vakar got some for his friend and his and their kids. We got them personalised, so it's a really nice personalised, thoughtful gift, and it's considered the barak when it comes from Saudi Arabia. So I would definitely purchase whatever you can, and it's such a nice gift when you go back. This is the area, so it was opposite the Kabutar Chong, so it is quite a walk, but at night time it's manageable because it's not as hot, and you can see we're on the opposite end of Haram because you can see the clock tower. So even at this time, it was busy, and at this point, Isha Azan was just about to commence. So when it commences, everyone rushes to the Masjid, and it's such a beautiful thing to see your faith bring everyone together. The shops close, so I wouldn't even recommend shopping at that time. You just need to run to the Masjid, and you can see these women here who put these shawls down, and when they see the police come in, they quickly tidy everything up because they're actually unofficial sellers. This was us in Carrefour. These are kind of dotted around the city. This to just give you a wee glance and a wee idea of the prices in riyal. So you can get plenty of imported items like certain chocolates and drinks, and I always loved getting these little pomegranate juices, so that's 2.25 riyal, and the kids kind of liked having like strawberry milk or chocolate milk. They'd love having that after or during their breakfast time, so it is handy to have these kind of shops. But I would definitely take as much as you can with you. If there's certain picky things, or if there's certain food allergies or gluten allergies, take as many things as you can with you. I just got some things for the fridge here, which was like yogurts and drinks to put into our fridge.